Hi, family and friends. We are back with another episode of Wellness Wednesday Inspiration. My name is Fernanda Torres, and I'm here with Dr. Linda Marquez for another great episode. And today it's going to be pretty important because it's a topic that whether we want it to affect us or not, or we want to be involved in it or not, it's pretty much all around us in our lives, whether we agree or not agree, or we like it or not like it. Everybody has experienced some sort of changes in our lives because of COVID. And the topic today is basically COVID-19, and we want to give you guys an update and strategies for how we can strategies for our health and our well-being. So what are those things that we can do, that we can focus on to help us to kind of manage and navigate this COVID situation that we're all living in on a global level? And Dr. Linda, I'm so excited to be here and be sharing this information with you today. How are you?
Great. Me too. It's been a while since we kind of chatted about this, but I think it's just very relevant, and you're right. It's like having the pink elephant in the room. Nobody wants to talk about the pink elephant, and we need to talk about the pink elephant, and it's okay if we disagree. And, for me, it's always been about, and I think our strategies are in our mindset, the way we think is like, hey, let's focus on what we can change, not what has happened in the past, and keep telling the stories of the past. It's more of, let's focus on what can we change and the stories of where do we want to be.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what, today should really be all about. I listen to so many different podcasts. I was listening to I want to say Zach Bush, and he talks a lot about, let's focus on what can we do from here and then to the next few steps. Same thing. There's another doctor I was listening to, and I mean, he's been censored a lot. Dr. Rashad Buttar. So y'all can go check out some of his links, but there's a lot of his information that's been pulled out as well. So you kind of just have to ask yourself, why is some of this information being removed? And that's a decision that each individual has to make, because even with my own family members, we may disagree on certain things, but one thing we agree on is like, it's your body, you honor it the way you want to honor it. And this is my body, and I'm going to honor it the way I'm going to honor it. And that's pretty much, how we've been handling things here. How about your side in the family?
So what we do, and this is something very important that I keep always like pretty fresh with my family and friends and close relatives, is always focusing on prevention. I always say that prevention is way more important than focusing on the cure of a problem, right? If we are doing the things that we need to do to prevent the issue from developing, then of course maybe the concern or the issue or the situation is not going to be as significant, even if it does happen, right? So we really focus on staying healthy and doing all of these different things that we're going to be talking about today in the episode, to basically make sure that we are in optimal health, that our immune system is strong, that we remain happy, and that our mindset is where it needs to be, so we can actually, basically live a healthy life, even during times of pandemic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Because right now I think, I see this a lot where if you wear a mask, a person will say, well, you're being fearful. And if you don't wear one, it's like you're being disrespectful. You're not caring about other people. I'm like so over all that. I said everyone's entitled to do what they want to do and honor their body the way they want to honor their body. As I mentioned, some of the things that has been very pivotal for me, and even when I talk to patients, because I'm still seeing patients in person, is the number one thing, and I think you're going to agree with this too, is, what are you feeding in here? Because whatever you speak about most is what you're going to manifest in your life. If you're speaking of so many things that are fearful, more fearful situations are going to be coming in your life. And if you I focus on health. Even sometimes when patients would come in, I don't even sometimes want to hear the word pain. I said, how is your discomfort? What are you kind of not able to do today, or what has improved today? Instead of really focusing on pain has such a negative connotation, and health is such, it's the opposite. And as you mentioned earlier, prevention is the cure to all disease. So
Yes, definitely. It definitely is. So I do want to get your opinion, because it is I think it's a very controversial topic. However, I know that a lot of vaccine trials are starting, and there is a lot of conversation about vaccines, vaccinations. I want to say that yesterday or Monday, the trial started in London, in UK. And I was talking to my dad last week. He lives in Colombia, and he was also telling me that there was going to be the trial of the vaccines, that it's going to be starting where he lives pretty soon. And of course, the vaccines, at least in Colombia, but I think it applies for worldwide, they're targeting the minorities, or not the minorities, but the people that are supposedly more at a high risk, right? Chronic people with chronic medical conditions, elderly, children, and of course people that are in the healthcare field, because they are exposed to a lot of diseases, basically. What is your take? I'm curious. What is your take on vaccines, on the COVID vaccine?
Well, personally, I have not had one in I don't know how many years. I think since I was young. That's just I've just been taught the model of I trust my body more than I trust anything outside of the body. It's kind of like our thoughts. I want to make sure that my thoughts are dialed in with what's real and positive in my life, instead of what everyone else is thinking. I've always been taught that, growing up in a household where food was our medicine cabinet was our backyard with with herbs and so forth. I trust that. I don't know if I've ever shared the story when I was younger that I had burned my face. I don't know if I shared that with you.
No,
I've ever shared it here. So it happened when I was in high school. I was working at a little restaurant, and this big pot of, I don't even know how much was in there, but it was hot oil that fell on the grill, and then it just splattered on my face. And it freaked me out so much. I started running to the bathroom because I wanted to see, oh my gosh, what happened here? And all I could see is a coworker. Her face was she looked like she was like, oh my gosh. And I'm thinking like, what? And as I got my face because it was burning. All I saw was skin on my hands. That's all I saw. And so, I never got to see what I looked like. I just remember it was on a big boxing night. I think Muhammad Ali was fighting, or Joe Frazier. I don't know, because we come from a family that, they're boxers. And so all I remember was going to, in Southern California, they had sent me to, I went to UCI, which was one of the best burn centers in the country at that time. And basically they bandaged me. They said, she's going to have to go home. I think I was there for a few hours. They're like, there's nothing we can do for her until she heals. So my mom's job was to remove the bandages every day from my face, and I couldn't look in the mirror. I couldn't do that. And so all my mom did is she used some plant-based remedies that she would put on my face every single day. She'd take my bandages off, and it had rose and other stuff in there, other herbs. Anyways, forward 4 weeks later, I go back to the doctor. I was supposed to see the plastic surgeon, and they just couldn't believe, like, this is impossible. This is a girl that had first, second, and third degree burns in her face. And if you've seen burn victims, you know what that looks like. So that was kind of a lesson that really taught me too, that one, my mom, her prayers and the words she kept affirming, don't worry, your face is going to look beautiful. You're, just speaking good things over me just every single day. And that has kind of been like a pivotal point for me that's just has been in my mind. So I believe in the human body. I believe that it has an intelligence. And if, as long as you're not interfering with it, with crap food and negative thoughts, you get in the proper sleep and so much more that we can chat about. I trust that more than I do any vaccine. That's just my personal take. And that's how I've raised and I've taught my children.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that is so important. And this is actually an example that I use in a lot of my talks as well. We trust the healing processes of our bodies when we are actually able to see them, right? For example, if you cut a finger, you know that it's going to heal. Mm-hmm. And you know that for a fact because you've seen it. But then if something is wrong with you internally, let's say you have diverticulitis, or if you have something that you can't really see outside, you don't trust in your healing, the healing process, the healing powers of your body, because you can't see it happen. So what do? You go and run to get some sort of solution outside of your body. But if we are able to tune in and tap into that powerful inner healing power that we all have, we could basically, and I trust this 100%, we could heal almost everything. And I follow a lot a doctor, Dr. Joe Dispenza. We brought him on, or we've talked about him during the show in different occasions. And I recently read his book, Becoming Supernatural. And he does these seminars, like 4, 5, 6 day seminars. And I recently, Mark Weiland, I registered for Mark Weiland and whatnot. But bottom line, the transformation of people that have had, multiple sclerosis, and they've had tumors, and they've had cancers, and all of these conditions, and they're able to get into a very deep state of meditation and tap into that inner source, and they walk out with completely healed, basically, right? Yeah. And then if you're looking from an outside perspective, you say, well, that was a miracle. And miracles, in my opinion, are things that really are not really likely to happen. But the thing here to understand is that we all have that capability. The thing is that we don't believe it. We don't believe it to be true for us. We say, well, somebody else healed themselves because of some magic, whatever. But how can I do that? And we all have that in us. So it's pretty amazing, right? That we are looking within for the solutions that we already come equipped with instead of without.
Yeah, it's the power within us. And one thing that he emphasizes a lot is it's when you cross that river of change. It's like you're leaving a set of belief systems. When you cross over to the other side, there's a tendency that you want to go back to what's comfortable. But when you go and you cross over to the other side, it's just, whoa, this is different. It's unfamiliar, and it can be uncomfortable, but it also can be exciting. And I think that's where a lot of people get stuck when it comes to health, and even with, the body will do whatever the mind tells it. And it's so easy. I mean, I've seen that so many times with patients in the office, asking them to do something. And I'm like, okay, just go a little bit further. Just go, just checking their range of motion. And they tell me I can't move. I can't turn my head a little more. And I'm like, yeah, just try a little bit more. And then they try and they move more. And I'm like, yeah, I think you can move a little bit more. And they keep doing it. And then they have like 15 degrees of more range of motion than they thought they really had. So that's powerful. I mean, that's just a simple, analogy that I get to see on a daily basis.
And something that has been coming back to me with my patients, and these, I'm generalizing, of course, I cannot use specific examples, but I have had a lot of patients come to me and say, I'm concerned. That's the word, right? I'm fearful, I'm concerned, I'm in fear that I am going to develop COVID, or if I develop COVID, that it's going to become complicated because of my history, right? What's the history? Whether the patient has diabetes, or whether he's got, some taking some immunosuppressant drugs for a transplant, or whether the patient is overweight or obese, or whether they have an underlying pulmonary condition like asthma or something like that. So they're concerned, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what I always say, and the first thing that comes to my mind is you are already putting that out there, right? So you're already saying, well, if I get COVID, I'm going to just get all sort of complications because of my history. So by
Mm-hmm.
believing something like that, you are already making it bad for you. By believing that you're going to have COVID, you are already decreasing the ability for your immune system to keep COVID away from you. So
Yeah.
just not entertaining the thought at all. And of course, I always tell the patients, right? If your concern is that because you're overweight or you are obese, that's going to increase the complications, then let's work on the weight. But don't focus on the fact that you're overweight. Focus on the goal where you want to be. Focus on releasing the pounds, but focus on the goal. I want to be X amount of pounds by, in 3 months, and put a goal date.
Yeah.
For that, and start working every single day towards it. But saying I'm concerned because I'm overweight, or I'm concerned because I'm a diabetic, but not doing anything about it, it's kind of like, what are we doing, right?
Yes. Amen. 100%. Totally agree with you. Instead of the what ifs of this, it's like we can switch that to the what ifs of the positive. Like you said, well, what can you do about it at this moment? Because that's all we have is that opportunity in front of us at this time. What can you do? What can you change about it? What are you eating? How are you thinking? Turn off the damn news. Watch a funny movie. It's just like, think on everything that's happening, that's amazing, that's good, that's loving in your life. When we focus on that, yes, our immune system does change. And when we are in fear, I'm in the process of finishing a final for one of my credentials, and I was just reviewing some information, and it's like, wow, that's amazing. And I just didn't realize the time length, but what fear does, and this is what a lot of the media is pumping fear out. It does suppress your immune system and the T helper cells that are supposed to be there to help you when you continue to think about this in a matter of like 6 minutes. So it's just like everything starts getting down regulated. And so that's why it's like, what do you want to focus on? I always go back to into our little vibrational energy chart of, if I'm down in fear, my body's whole energy is way down here. I'm just going to focus on love at the moment of what I have with my family right now. Us having this conversation, and agreeing that, we're here to change people's lives in a positive way. We're not here to put people in fear. There's already enough of that. Go somewhere else, because we're not about that. It's more of, what can we do at this moment? If you're a diabetic, what can you do? Why did you become a diabetic? Okay? If you're overweight, what led you to that? What is one small thing that you can do today? Like, start drinking more water. You might be thirsty and you thinking that you're hungry, but you're really thirsty. It's just in throwing the question back to them. What do you think you can do? Well, I don't know. Well, if you thought you did know, what would it be? It's kind of the desperation. If somebody put a gun to your head and say, you better tell me really quick, what do you think you need to do? Oh, I got to exercise, right? Because there isn't that urgency, because we're in a society that, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. There isn't an urgency for their health.
There isn't an urgency for their health. However, and let me make this very clear, because I know that you see this, and I see it all the time too. When disease, or illness actually arises, when it happens, now we don't have time to be sick. So now we want the solution, but we want the solution right now. We want the immediate solution. So give me an antibiotic, or give me whatever it's going to work, because I need to go back to work, and I need to go back to work tomorrow. So, but the issue with that is that if we don't have time for our wellness, we will have to make time for our illness. There is no other way around it. So we either focus on being healthy, like right now during COVID times. We either focus on the positives, We either focus on keeping our focus on being positive and being healthy and how we can strengthen our immune system, how we can think positive thoughts, how we can sleep better, how we can eat better, how we can incorporate more water into our day, how we can do all these positive things that are going to bring a biological benefit to our immune system, and it's going to keep us stronger. So even if we do develop something, we are strong. We can fight whatever it is, right? But if we continue to focus on things we can control, or if we continue to focus on how we are feeling awful, or whether or not COVID is going to get to us, or, all the numbers that are, rising and all these things, then that's what we're going to get. Where we focus, basically, we get more of that into our lives.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we're so, I always say, you could be my daughter. And I kind of want to, and I would love to hear what your day looks like, but this is what my day looks like. In the morning, I get up at 4:30. I didn't this morning, but normally I get up at 4:30. And first thing I do is I go and I take a cold shower to wake me up. And then I go sit and I meditate for 30 or 40 minutes. And then I go and I walk to where I'm working out, a fitness center. It's a martial arts center. It takes me about 15, 20 minutes just to warm up my body. And granted, it was 39 degrees a few days ago. Today it wasn't too bad. It was in the 40s or 50s. But I just bundle up, take a light, and I go to my class. And I'm there for 40 minutes. I come back. And just depending on my day, if I have to go into the office or not, or today I'm working from home, I actually write down what I have planned for the day, and also look at my goals. Other things that I have been implementing too is just removing sugar from the diet, making sure that I'm drinking lots of water, getting at least 20 ounces of water within the first hour that I wake up. I take vitamin D because studies have shown, and there was a study that was done in Spain, and we can link it up here, that they actually tested COVID patients, that the ones that came in they both had COVID, both sets of groups, but one group, they gave them vitamin D. I think it was 5 or 10,000 IUs of vitamin D. And then the other group, they didn't give them vitamin D. Well, the group that didn't get vitamin D, more of those participants, they had to go to ICU, whereas only one out of this other group had to be admitted to ICU. So just that. So I'm a strong believer, and I've taken vitamin D for years, and that's something that every doctor should be checking, and all of you make sure you know what your levels are. 40 to 60 are your optimal. The range is so huge, but if you're at 20, you're still too low. I would say shoot between 40 and 60. I take my zinc. I do my flu bomb, as I share that. And, I try to stick to just eating real food, nothing with preservatives, soups, stress management I get my sleep dialed in. And what are some other things that I love to meditate, and I just try to stick to positive things. Those are some of the things that, I've been doing. One thing I do want to let people know, though, the darker your skin is, the more likely you're going to be low in vitamin D. And so it's really important that and especially now in the winter, you're not getting outside. So get outdoors and get some sunshine out as well. So those are some of the things that I've been focusing on. And then just, focusing on the more of what you create, more of you focus is what you're going to create. And I always remember, anti-war rallies. Just the word anti-war is such negative instead of peace rally or anti-war demonstration. Why not have a peace rally? So I would like to hear what you're doing, some of the things you're doing with your family.
Definitely. So I wake up at 4 in the morning.
Oh my gosh, you beat me.
4 in the morning usually, unless I really have a very late night for work or whatever reason, because I do value my sleep. I believe that sleep is completely and absolutely important for well-being, for our immune system, for mental health, and for overall body wellness, right? But for the most part, if I go to sleep at a good time, but by 4 a.m., I'm ready to go, right? So I wake up, and the first thing I do is gratitude. So I do a gratitude list of 10 people or things that I'm grateful for in the day. And then I start doing my meditation. So I usually meditate for about 20, maybe 25 minutes at the most. And then I do visualization. So I visualize not only my day, but I also visualize my future. What is it that I want out of life? And in this visualization, I include, of course, being feeling younger and better and rejuvenated and healthier every single day, right? And then I have a live script that I listen to. My live script is about 5 to 6 minutes long. And the live script is basically how I see my life in present tense, how I see my life in the future, how I want my life to be in the future, but in present tense. And one of the things that I have in my live script, I know and basically by memory, because I listen to it twice a day, every day, is that my body rejuvenates and becomes healthier every single day of my life. And I always say this, I repeat it twice a day and I have it in my mind, right? Over and over and over again. So that's that's my intention, right? And then after that, I take a shower, and depending on how cold it is, it's been kind of cold. I would go hiking. I haven't gone hiking in the mornings because of the cold weather now. But it is absolutely important. And then my breakfast, I start my morning with a smoothie. And it's a fruit smoothie. And I have hemp. I have gluten-free oats. I incorporate some collagen, and I incorporate some other things to basically get me through the morning, get me through the day. I drink water throughout the day. I eat home-cooked healthy meals every single day. So all of these things, and of course, I don't watch TV, and I focus on the positives. When I'm taking a shower, my shower is big. So I bring my phone inside the shower and I play always a motivational video, whether it's Dr. Wayne Dyer, whether it's Les Brown, whether it's Bob Proctor, whether it's whoever. I do a positive video basically to get me pumped, to get me started, to get me just excited for the day, right? So those are the things that I do. And I do want to point out, because you mentioned vitamin D and the importance for immune health and also the importance with COVID, I also looked up a study. And the study was a systematic study that was done, and it incorporated 11,000 people. Okay, so it was a huge study. It's not like, okay, it may work, it may not work, right? It's a huge study. And it showed that a normal level of vitamin D in our bodies decreases the risk of developing upper respiratory infections, and this includes COVID. So if we have a good level, a normal level, 40 to 60 of vitamin D, then we can have a better chance, I guess, of not developing any upper respiratory infections. It's something simple. And something else about vitamin D, I haven't really seen a lot of change here in Arizona because I'm still technically working in Illinois. But something that I would see in Illinois is that a lot of people become deficient, especially during the winter months.
Yes.
And I think it's very important to mention, and this is because not a lot of people are receiving sunlight when it's really cold out. So anybody that lives up in the North States and that have to bundle up and it's really cold out and you're not getting a lot of sunlight, most likely you are deficient. You become deficient, vitamin D deficient during the winter months. So definitely something important to check. And it's always a good idea to take a vitamin D supplement regardless. So very important point. But then also there is some other supplements that can help with our immune system and that can help decrease the risk of us developing upper respiratory infections. Okay. And one of the things that I noticed and that I read was that vitamin C actually helps decrease the duration and severity of upper respiratory infections. But even if you do have an upper respiratory infection at the moment, if you have COVID or flu or rhinovirus, whatever it is that you have at the moment, and you start taking vitamin C, then the duration of the upper respiratory infection also decreases by 8% for adults and by 14% in kids. So it's not like, well, I already have it, there is nothing to do. No, you can still take it and it will still help.
Yeah, even with vitamin D, even at the same with vitamin D, even because of that other, the study I was talking about was in Spain, and that was this year, that They, the ones both of them, both sets came in at the same time, and they actually gave vitamin D to one group and not to another. So that's very important. And like you were saying, that and the vitamin C. So it's kind of like when a person says, "Oh, well, I'm overweight, I might as well just eat whatever I want." It's like, no, you can start exercising today and just swap your food today. You can still do something. So,
And just a comment in the audience, Winnie, and she says that she has low vitamin D. So yes, Winnie, it's important to get your vitamin D level up. So you can buy an over-the-counter vitamin supplement. You should also be talking to your provider about checking your levels and knowing what your levels are. Having that piece of information is important because the range, like Dr. Linda was mentioning, is huge. A lot of labs consider a normal vitamin D level between like 20 and 100. So that's a huge range.
Yeah.
If you're in 20, you are like low, right?
Mm-hmm.
So knowing that you want to be in between about 40 and 60, 40 and 70, that gives you a good idea. So when you start taking your vitamin D, you can recheck it. You can recheck it maybe 4, 5, 6 months later, and you will should see that vitamin D getting to that level where you want it to be.
Yeah, and just something to note on that, vitamin D, sometimes the levels you can superdose, because I've done this with patients. I mean, I would superdose them. I mean, there's like a 50,000 IU that you can take for like a week, but that really equates to not a whole lot, maybe 7,000. And if you're really low, 7,000 a day is not gonna really help a whole lot. I usually have them superdose, and once again, working with your provider, 5,000 to 10,000 to 15 to 20 to 30 for like 2 or 3 days. That's how I've worked with patients. The other thing too, though, is sometimes vitamin D levels will not change much if you have GI issues, because you're having some, I would say, digestion issues, malabsorption issues. So you're going to have some problems as well. So you can be putting gas in the tank, so to speak, but you have holes in there. So that's why even gut health is so important, because 60 to 80% of your immune system is where it's in your gut. So that's something to consider as well. There isn't just one thing that's going to help you. It's really a combination of the mindset, your digestion, the food you're eating, your sleep, your environment, and so forth. So that's just something kind of that, just wanted to throw out there. And there was also a question regards to, if you've had COVID before, can you get it again? So I don't know if you wanted to comment on that, give your 2 cents and my 2 cents on that.
Absolutely. So technically, yes, just like you can get flu again, you can get COVID again, just like you can get any other upper respiratory viral infection once, you can get it again and again. But focusing on whether or not you can, it's the wrong focus. Once again, we should be focusing instead on how we can stay healthier, how we can increase our chances of being healthier and have our immune system stronger every single day, and not necessarily focusing on whether or not we should or we can get COVID again. But is it possible? Yes, it is possible. Now, the other thing is, once you have any condition, once your body does have immunity, right, that it's built in your body. So that I guess can help you in regards to fighting another infection if you do get it again. So that is one thing that does happen in the body. You do build immunity. So now you have a little army that is ready to combat COVID in the event that it comes into your body again.
Yeah. And I think, just as Anna had mentioned in one of the comments, that a lot just depends on what do we focus on. Are you focusing on fear? Because when you focus on fear, and a lot of, unfortunately, a lot is being censored right now. We don't even know half the time if some of our conversations are going to be heard, but there's so much fear that the fear does downregulate your immune system. And sometimes that fear is out there for the purpose of taking away some of your liberties, some of your rights. And I think we need to focus right now on what's really important in our lives. And some of us maybe aren't working right now because we were let go, or our businesses aren't doing as well. Focusing on that can create even more of a problem. What I need to do is focus on, I have to make sure that my body's as bulletproof and I'm as resilient as possible, so that I have that mindset, that I have that vibrational frequency of, okay, what do I need to do to be in a better place than I am right now? And I think all of us have that opportunity as well. And whenever there's a crisis in our lifetime, there's always something that we can glean from it that pushes us to do things better. And as we talked in a previous podcast, that 2020 was more about opening our eyes to, especially this situation, about what is your health really like? So that's really just like, it's just exposing us. And now that we've been exposed, it's like, okay, what do I need to do, or what do I get to do? So instead of the need, is more like, and what do I get to do? And it comes back always to, our thoughts are powerful, but our words are spells. Those words set the vibrational frequency or the radio station that we're dialed into all day long.
Very important, very important. And I think we're almost coming to the end, but I do want to finish the conversation about supplements, because it's something that we can all do to help us boost our immune system, get it stronger, and basically just get us, where we need to be. So we talked about vitamin D and the importance of vitamin D. We talked about vitamin C, but there's some other things, right? Zinc, it's also important to take, and it's important because it helps fight viruses, right? It has antiviral replication. There is also garlic that people can take, and these also help with fighting, or it has antiviral properties. So there is different things that we can do naturally, aside from exercising, aside from mindset, aside from everything that we've covered on the show. And Dr. Linda, do you have any other supplements that you think are important for people?
Yeah, actually, I do. On my website, I actually have a COVID guide that gives you the list of the supplements, like we talked about: vitamin D, zinc, vitamin C, and there's other recommendations in there. And I also have that on my website, the flu bomb remedy that I've been using. And I tell people, yes, it tastes gross, but it's the best thing ever that you can do for your body, because it does have the garlic in there. It has the lemon, the vitamin C, it's got ginger in there as well, and it's got cayenne pepper. So it's got thyme. So there's antiviral properties in those. So yeah, they can go on the website. I have that laid out. So, there's just so much to cover in the short amount of time, but they can go on the website.
Wonderful. And the website is www.drlindamarquez.com. I'm putting it in the comments right now. And to finish off the show, Dr. Linda, do you want to talk about something that you are grateful for today?
Oh, there's so much. I'm grateful for, gosh, just every day is just a gift, and I think right now, and with everything just going on, I'm really grateful for my family. I have all my brothers are alive. My parents are alive. I'm just very grateful for them. Just a blessing that I didn't get to see them on Thanksgiving, just my kids, but not my parents. But I'm just super blessed and grateful for them. And they are sometimes even just my foundation, and why I push and push and push forward. How about you?
I am extra grateful today for all of the opportunities to be able to bring these messages of health out into the world, because it's not what people are listening to most of the days, right? And a lot of times, even when they are focused on finding solutions, they're finding solutions that are not necessarily solutions towards or geared towards prevention, but more about cure and more about putting that fear in ourselves. So I am thankful to be able to have a platform, to be able to have you to share this message with me, and just continuing to get this message out and helping people really get to that better state, because we all have it within us. We all know that, and we talked about it. We have an extreme power within us. And if we're able to tap into that power and reach into it, we can achieve wellness. So we got to believe it, of course, but it is in there. So I'm extra thankful for just being able to use my voice and the platform and to have you to share this message with me. So
Absolutely, 100%. Me too. So thank you.
all right, and with that, we're going to let you guys go. We have a guest next week. Once again, it's going to be an information-packed episode. Super excited about it. And we will see you all next week.
Next week. All right. Have a good one. Bye.